Hello.
Hi, hola.
Is that
Craig,
I
have
like the
you got more?
music.
Yeah, where did that come from, Tatiana?
It's actually only one great feature that Elon Musk created. So in the beginning of the space, you have four different musics you can put while audience is coming.
That's cool.
That's nice.
Craig, do you have any news stories for us from Lviv?
None that I can think of. I'm sure I do. Oh, yeah. I'm in Poland right now. I missed my train yesterday because Ukraine, out of everything I was traveling, they were the only ones who did it in military time. So maybe like a week and a half ago, I was like, oh, I have to leave at 3:30 in the morning. But after working so much, I was like, oh, I'm leaving 3:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, I got to the train station 12 hours later than I wanted to be. So I had to get a bus, and then that took like 9 hours because the border crossing is so difficult.
Damn.
So yesterday was
Yeah,
or I guess the last 2 days have been really long.
Yeah.
Does it take a long time to cross the border?
Yeah, because anybody who's trying to cross the border, whether it's a bus, a car, or a truck, they have to wait in this really long line, and then like they have to like check it for like explosives and contraband and stuff like that. Then they have to vet all the passengers, and then the Polish have to do the exact same thing. So it's like the Ukrainians do it, and then the Polish do it. So what normally is like a 4-hour car ride ended up being like a 9-hour drive.
Yeah, my mom and my grandma, they were crossing the border for 3 hours when they were like coming to the United States.
Yeah, like they got to the border, and then it took them 3 hours to get through. Yeah,
Yep.
that was pretty much the same.
So are you headed back to the States now?
Tomorrow afternoon. So I had one day in Poland to do touristy stuff. I went to see this castle called Wawel Castle in Krakow, which was pretty cool. And I walked like 6 kilometers over the course of the day. So I'm just laying down in the hotel bed, just ready to call it a trip.
Is it your first trip to that part of the world?
Yeah. I've only ever been to the Balkans before.
All right. What kind of work were you doing? Volunteer work?
So I stuck with one group. So there's a great website. If any of our other teachers or mentors students ever think about volunteering, I'll have to find the website. It's like volunteerua.com or something. But I was mostly working at this place called Lviv Kitchen, where chop lots of vegetables all day long, and then they basically dehydrate everything and like turn them into soup packages, and then they send them to all the soldiers so they can get individual soups or tea we make, or they get like these big ones where they can make it in a pot for a bunch of them.
Nice.
It was really fun. And I managed to get at least one more mentor out of it. So it was not entirely just pleasure. I did some work for Balakun.
Nice. That's great.
How was your trip, Sam?
It was so good. I'm just trying to adjust to being back in the real world again. Slowly. I'm very glad that Monday is a public holiday here in New Zealand, so I don't have to go straight back to work. Because that would have been a bit rough. After all of the swimming with turtles and riding my bike around little tropical islands, it was good. Just what I needed.
That's awesome.
So let's see. We've posted the link all over the place in Telegram, I see, which is good. The main agenda for today was just to update on what's been happening, and then just see where the conversation goes, and hopefully we'll get some more people joined. So I don't have any updates because I've been snorkeling with turtles. Rebecca, do you want to just say what's been happening in the last week or so?
From my side, we have pending like two mentors to be verified. One is a guy from the Netherlands. I'm trying like to get him to reply to me, and another is a lady in the US. We will have like the discussion with her tomorrow. So I hopefully I can send to Tatiana two more mentors, and also I had the first session with my student, my new student yesterday. So now I'm like supporting two students. So it's really cool.
Hey,
Actually,
awesome.
it was really, yeah, it was really nice because she her name is Svitlana, and she told me we didn't have like the proper lesson yesterday, but we get to know each other, and she told me like she was super excited because ever since she signed up for Balakun, every day she was checking her inbox to see if she received any news. And this was like for a long time. And finally, we were matched thanks to Tiana. And she was like super excited. So I got to know her
That's so
yesterday.
cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. She's working at a kindergarten and assisting with small children. So she's in her 50s. Real nice lady.
And which part of Ukraine is she in?
She's in Kiev.
Oh, nice.
She's in
Cool.
Kiev.
Isn't it exciting when you meet someone who's so excited to learn, and it just
Yes.
it makes everything so much better.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can't imagine ever teaching like high school kids who don't want to be there. I think that would be the worst job in the world. But teaching people who really, or mentoring people who really want to learn is speaking of which, someone who really wants to learn has just joined.
Okay. Hi, that cakes. How are you?
She's listener
When she's
mode.
made a speaker.
Yeah.
Listener mode. So Rebecca, thanks for the update on the mentoring thing. It really highlights the point that we need more mentors because you can
Of
see how
course.
excited the students are when they get a match.
Yes. Just she was actually telling me like I was every day her level is A1, but well my two students their level is A1, but you see like how excited they are like to try to learn and the efforts that they make because uh, being A1 level student, they don't have like very big vocabulary in English, but anyway they try, and you see like they are like trying to, for example, my other student, his name is Sasha, and he found an application. For him it's really important to be able to read the Bible. So he found an application, and it's what we're using, um, to read the Bible like with a parallel translation. So if ever since, oh sorry, even though we have lessons and we try to meet like twice a week, he tells me that he's reading every day, and he wrote to me like, I am starting to read, I'm starting to understand what I am reading, I am so
Yeah.
excited. So just
And
see their motivation, and it boosts well, for me it's like a super boost.
yeah, it's rewarding, especially because the more motivated the student is, the faster they learn, and it's so
Mm-hmm,
rewarding when you really track how
mm-hmm,
much more comfortable they're becoming speaking. One is
mm-hmm.
the hardest, like when you start learning. I think it's the most challenging place for the student to be because they're not comfortable with their vocabulary and how they pronounce things, so
Mm-hmm.
comfortable enough to make mistakes with you.
Yes.
is so good. Yeah.
The only thing I'm ashamed of is that I don't know enough Ukrainian, like to try to
Yeah.
explain things maybe because I see like that sometimes they maybe some Ukrainian word would help. The only thing that I can say is "Za dobra," and I see like
Yeah.
their eyes when I see this and when I say
Yeah.
this, and it's such a good feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's
we
part of the process though, is if they're completely immersed in English, then
Mhm, mhm,
they have to speak in English as well.
mhm, mhm.
I think that the most valuable use of your time together is conversation. It's the back and forth.
Yes.
It's the student having to come up with a sentence and put it into words and listen to your answer. That's
Mhm,
the
mhm,
most valuable use of our time, I think, as
mhm,
mentors.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, Sasha
anyone
was.
else?
Sorry,
Sorry? No, you
sorry.
go.
Just wanted to say that Sasha was making a very big effort to tell me about about his family in English, and I was
That's cool.
writing what he was saying, and it's like I would say like a very decent introduction because he tells where he's from, what does he do, how many family members does he have, and maybe he was not like because I asked him like the first time like can you please introduce yourself, and he was like but now he realized that he does know how to introduce himself, so
Yeah. And that shows that he's very comfortable with you, which is awesome.
thank you.
We have a speaker. Would you like to introduce yourself? I recognize the picture, but I can't remember your name.
Hey, yeah,
Chat.
you could have remembered my profile picture, but don't have the same name. It's Arthur, and
Arthur.
yeah, I am a tutor. I've had a grand total of one lesson so far. It was a bit messy, but at least it ticked the boxes of getting to know each other and assessing what kind of stuff the student wanted to work on.
That's good stuff. Have you scheduled more to come in the future?
Excuse me, I came in as a bit choppy. Might be my internet.
Sorry. Have you scheduled future lessons with the student?
I heard about half the syllables, but I think to answer your question, I have 3 lessons a week set with this student.
Oh, great. Awesome. That's awesome. Anything
Yeah, and
that would make
oh, sorry.
you go?
Oh, yeah, I was just saying I have another student. I'm waiting. There was a bit of confusion. We were supposed to have a session, but we should have one tomorrow if things go as planned.
In terms of the messiness, is the thing about materials that we can make easier, or is it just messiness teaching someone for the first time and being in different time zones and things like that?
Internet connection is a bit unstable. I changed something. Should be better now.
Okay, cool. I just asked if there's any comments or improvements we can make to the materials that we send to you, things here, or is the messiness, does that come from zones and time?
I think the issue might be network issue might be on your side actually. But about I heard the beginning at least about the material. I think it was okay. Um, just I was probably not very organized. It was the first lesson, so I just got to get used to it. But it wasn't a problem, regardless.
I think Sam was also saying was the messiness of the situation coming from the language barrier as well. I think.
No, that was okay. I think that was okay. My student is well A2, but she's got a good comprehension, and I managed to not speak too fast, so that was good.
Yeah, I have to remember to slow down sometimes, especially when I get excited. I start talking too fast. I think New Zealanders and Australians are pretty bad at talking fast. But yeah, something to work on. Hey, Tatiana, do you want to give us an update from the student side on just some progress and milestones, anything like that?
I didn't post it yet, but we have 70 matches.
Oh my god, 70.
70, yeah.
Wow.
70 matches.
Oh my god.
And I'm pretty much like matching new mentors real fast. So like I talked with the Lachlan already. I already found him a mentee, and I will send him all the information. It's like really lovely volunteer in Ukraine who wants to learn English.
Ooh, wait.
Awesome.
There's a volunteer who wants to learn English?
Yeah, it's a Ukrainian lady. She is a volunteer and she wants to learn English to communicate better with colleagues for the public sector and things like that.
That's awesome, because Lachlan is he's a volunteer too. I met him at the kitchen.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking that it will be a really cool match.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. Matchmaker extraordinaire, Tatiana. It's so cool. I think the other thing that's happening is that people are taking on more students once they realize that it isn't as hard as they think it will be, which is great because even though I had big dreams at the start, I'm not sure if we'll ever achieve that 1-to-1 ratio that I dream about. But if people have at least 2 or 3 students, then it's not as much pressure, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch a moth and my daughter is like screaming.
Is it a big scary moth?
Every time you're on Spaces, Tatiana.
I know. No, it's not big and scary. She wants to touch it, and when I'm letting her touch it, she starts screaming. So.
I see. Dead Cake, do you want to join, or are you just lurking today? Don't worry if you don't feel like it. It's all good.
I don't think I said hi to everyone, by the way.
Hello.
Hi, Arthur.
Hello, Arthur.
Hi, ignore Rebecca.
Hola. Hola, chicos.
And that cake.
Of course.
So we are... Okay, that's really exciting. 70 matches. That's cool. How are we going to celebrate when we get to 100? We should do something.
Yeah. This is what can we do?
We can do like 24-hour space.
Like a telethon. Let's get 100 more. We're gonna do the 24 hours.
Just...
Yes, a telemarathon is what we need.
Oh god, I cannot imagine talking for 24 hours. I think I would lose my voice.
I know, we should do a 24/7 space. That always goes well.
Well, when you think
it?
of it, we are actually doing it in Telegram.
And it just keeps going because everyone's in different time zones.
Yeah, we work with the sun, it's around the sun.
Yeah.
We are actually doing so. We can't complain. We can get this.
I had an idea how to celebrate. So we've got someone working on a proper logo for us, and I was thinking we could get special edition t-shirts or hoodies printed for first 100 matches, and it'll be like exclusive to the people in the first 100 get this special t-shirt or logo with the logo on it.
It would be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be the coolest people in the first 100.
So the Billy logo is still the temporary one?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got a designer working on mainly icons for a dog and a fox, wolf, and yeah, cool. I have lots of ideas but no talent, so I just offloaded all of my ideas to the designer and she's working on it, which is amazing. Yeah.
For the updates as well, I shared yesterday. So we added LinkedIn page. So now, like, you can add it as your volunteer project that you are mentor with us.
That's a great idea.
Also we have a YouTube and also Buy Me a Coffee. It's 3 channels that are added this week.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm quite excited about the YouTube. What that we're planning to do there, for everyone who doesn't know, we're going to upload these spaces just as audio on YouTube, so that people who miss it can find them if they're not so big on Twitter. Then also some of the group lessons as well put up for people who missed them. Not how much traffic, but at least it's a story thing.
I think that's a good idea because I think I was mentioning it last week, how Twitter can kind of just become like an echo chamber.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people don't use Twitter. A lot of the volunteers I was working with were like, I have a Twitter, but I haven't used it in months. I'm like, wow, I found everything that I'm doing via Twitter, but all right. So, yeah, I think branching out would be great.
Yeah, also I'm planning to add our spaces and like different audio content that we will have for the podcast as well. I think it will help a lot to spread the word as well.
Yeah, that was another idea that and Ed Cake and Alexandra is doing a podcast. So part of the lesson preparation can be covered in a podcast, so that people can listen to that rather than read the lesson preparation. And that might be a good way of preparing the student for their week lessons. What we'll have, there's a topic that we each week with certain grammar rules or something like that, and we can just go over those rules podcast, and they listen to that before they go to their lessons, so it's not completely new. But it'll be but I'd like to have from guests, both mentors and students, to those podcasts, and they'll just be on the YouTube.
It's really hard to hear you, Sam. Is it only me or everybody else?
Yeah.
Let me change to a different setup. Hold on.
You could try closing other apps on your phone. This type of problem is either your connection is being a bit slow, or your phone is overheating, / just being overloaded. So closing other apps can help. Twitter Spaces are still a work in progress, even though it's hard to call them as such when the work is being done.
Is this any better, or should I switch to a different?
Sounds great.
I think it's better now.
It's better now. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
thanks
it's better
for that.
now.
I didn't realize that the phone got overloaded. Thanks for telling me. We have some new listeners. If you would like to speak up, please feel free. Otherwise, just gonna keep rambling, because that's what I do.
We actually have Daniel as a speaker. I was talking with him to if he wants to mentor some Ukrainians. So if you can tell him about how to be a mentor, and that you don't need to really know Ukrainian.
I can confirm. I'm a mentor, and I don't speak Ukrainian.
I'm also a mentor, and my Ukrainian is limited 1-2 words.
Yep, same.
But I also can tell you that it's a very rewarding experience. Maybe you have some questions, or you would like some tips on how to be a mentor.
The room goes silent.
Well, I sent Daniel invite. Oh, I think he's connected.
There he is.
Welcome, Daniel. Which part of the world are you in?
not one with good network.
Well, I can. I see Daniel.
Okay, you
Someone
scared
is
him
going
off.
on. So
Yeah,
no,
maybe he will rejoin. I was having the same issue and I started joining the spaces.
Yeah, I think sometimes if you get promoted, it like kicks you for a second.
Yes,
Sometimes.
yes. Sometimes you can't speak and you need to rejoin. Maybe that's the issue.
Now he's raising his hand.
Was poor. Privit, I wanted to drop in. Tatiana mentioned the space, and my written Ukrainian is slow and laborious and detailed, and that's what I have. I'm still very slow with spoken, but I'm curious to know if people like me can help.
Of course.
Absolutely. My level of Ukrainian is somewhere, I think it's the Duolingo equivalent of Dekit. But I have still semi successfully mentored many students because the biggest thing that they are missing in their education, in their, well, learning journey is being able to practice speaking.
Is there a certain kind of English or a current kind of venue or a situation that is really important to mentor them for?
Why don't we let Deb Cake answer that? She's a student, so she can tell you from that perspective.
Oh, hello to everyone. I'm sorry, I had a supper, I couldn't talk. uh, I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean some tricks to every student or what?
Oh, I was
Um,
wondering if there were
maybe,
specific situations that are particularly important to mentor for.
I'd say the most specific situation, the most specific aspect, when you, for different reasons, can, mm, you can want to, talk about war, to maybe to show your support or something. So it's a delicate topic, and not everyone has the same reaction about this. So I'd say you need to be careful about this. So yeah, and well, it's just about chat again. So people start to send in some funny stuff or not funny stuff about the world in chat. So I just want to remind that not everyone has the same opinion about this.
Dead Cake.
Well,
As far as like topics, I know we had kind of had a funny chat about this in the Telegram chat. Would it be like small talk, like conversational English is good for you guys? Or I think what Daniel's asking is like, what kind of things is good to learn, if that makes sense.
what kind of things are good to learn?
Oh,
Good to
jeez. Native speaker here.
Oh, it's,
Goodbye.
Sorry.
It depends on depends on the reason why a person wants to learn English. Maybe it's some professional, maybe it's for the job or something. Maybe it's just for, to be able to communicate with all the world. So you can start with just common things, like just simple topics like houses, cities, pets, and other stuff. Maybe someone wants to have more specific topics. I'd like to say, for me, for example, I like slang. I like to learn more informal language you can hear while people are speaking talking, not just in the documents or in the books. So, all these double meanings and other stuff. It's really interesting for me. Well, what else? No, it depends on what the student will you have. When you have a first lesson, so you talk about something, it will be an introduction, and then you just well, you will know what you better do.
If I can just add, I think, Daniel, overwhelmingly the thing that students want is that speaking practice. And there aren't specific topics. There's probably, individual things that different students will want in terms of their career, their professional development. But overwhelmingly, what they are lacking is the ability to practice talking. So every student I've ever mentored has had that basic foundation in grammar and vocabulary. But the thing that's stopping them from having a fluent conversation is being comfortable to speak and make mistakes. And so that there may be specific things, like one of my students is a medical student and she's interested in learning medical terms, but that's going to be different for each student. So there isn't really one answer. I think there's one answer for each student, to be honest, but the most valuable use of our time is allowing them to practice speaking and listening to us as well, because having that back and forth is much more valuable than watching something on YouTube or something like that. Would you agree with that, Dead Cake?
Well, yeah, YouTube videos can't correct you or something, so you can read a word and you think you know how it pronounces you, and it's wrong. So it happens with me all the time. So I had, aside from lessons with Sen, I had a lesson with reading. So I can see a sentence, I can read it in my mind, and it sounds perfect. So when I start to read aloud, it's a mess. Yeah, it's more easier to write in English than to speak in English. So when you need to talk to a person, so it's you're really struggling with it. So yeah, the speaking practice, I think it's the most important.
Also,
I think
I can add that from the verification process with the students, like a lot of them wants to know English for traveling as well, so they can communicate in English when they're outside of Ukraine.
Being on the other side of that, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how important that would be. It was definitely a struggle at times. Especially when I was the only person in the kitchen that knew 6 sentences in Ukrainian, and that just was not enough. Like everybody else is just like, I don't know what they're telling us. I would be telling them I don't understand what you're saying, and they're like, oh well, he said it in Ukrainian, so he must understand a little bit. Like, no, I literally understand nothing.
I mean, you could start using complicated cooking words in my own language, and I would not understand a good part of them. So I think when you have some specialized domains like that, it's to be expected. And yeah, I wanted to say just conversational practice is probably the easiest thing to do for newcomer tutors such as me. So I'm not going to be complaining about the fact that most students want that.
Yeah, and Daniel, that's sort of why we've gone away from calling ourselves teachers to call ourselves mentors, because very few of us actually have any training or background, and we're not trying to teach people in order to pass an exam or to get to a certain level. This is just about practicing and communicating, but also just having those connections between people who are in Ukraine with the rest of the world. And the people who want to learn English. We're not teaching anyone who doesn't want to learn. So it's just a sort of like a. I think Quignall put it really nicely the other week when he said it's like having a virtual pen pal, which was a nice way of putting it.
If I can add to what San is saying, Daniel, for example, I am Mexican. My native language is not English. My native language is Spanish. So still, even though you are not like a native English speaker, you can still use your, your knowledge to support others. And while doing this, you can also learn. It's not like we think ourselves as mentors and we know everything, and the student needs to depend on us. No, we are learning as well as them. And in my experience, speaking English as a second language, I think it gives me empathy to what they are trying to achieve, because English will also be their second language. So when you have learned English, you understand what they are going through.
Or third or fourth language in some cases.
Yes, of course. So as you can see in my experience, I have two students. They have A1 level of English, and what you can do is you can listen to them. I use Google Translate to understand some of the words they use, but for them, as Kipnor, as Sam, that cakes, everyone has mentioned, the important thing is to be able to practice with someone. One of my students, for example, wants to read the Bible, and what I do is listen to his pronunciation and correct some words. And my other student, she wants to know the verbs. So what I can do is teach her like some basic verbs, some basic conjugations. So it depends really on how you listen to your student. Of course, there are more advanced students who want to learn English because they need it for job purposes. They will travel, but in reality, and I'm speak from about my experience, when your native language is not English, but you know English, you really see the advantage of being able to speak to other persons. This is what I understand that we are trying to achieve. And this is why becoming a mentor is so important.
I know I've probably told this story before, but so excuse me if you've heard it before, but I had a student who I was helping prepare for an exam for his university entrance. And the first lesson he was kind of just saying answers as if he had learnt them off by heart. And it wasn't till I figured out something that he wanted to talk about, and then he just talked to me for about half an hour about the TV show Breaking Bad, which was incredible. Like, you just have to find the thing that someone is interested in and wants to talk about, and then they will just go, and it's a wonderful feeling when that happens. So we could we could have spent hours talking about that thing because he knew about it and he wanted to express his opinions about it, and it wasn't like he was repeating answers that he'd learnt. He was actually having a conversation, and that is very different when you reach that level.
See, that was actually one of the ways I thought that maybe would be a good way to help them practice. We mentioned a YouTube video earlier, but what about watching it together and pausing it and discussing it? I mean, I for one was imagining what would happen if you want to talk to someone who wants to fly for a profession, and let's watch a video about peregrine falcons and just get all the little terms about that, because I feel like that would be very relatable.
Yeah, absolutely. And just tailoring the experience to what the student will enjoy will make things so much easier. And we're not going to have any very, strict rules and syllabus about what you do. Our main job is to connect you to the person and then provide you with supporting materials. But you can take it, you can really run with it and make it your own process. The thing on videos, yes, if you've got lots of time, watching videos together is a great thing to do. The other thing you could do is watch a video before you get together so that you can maximize your time speaking and spend that time talking about it. So you could share a TED talk or a short YouTube video with each other before your lesson and then spend that time talking about it. We'd also love to, when we've built the community and the place on the internet, run things like book club or a movie club. Does anyone have any other ideas about that kind of thing that we could do as bigger groups?
It was actually in the email that I sent to you and Rebecca, the really detailed feedback from one of the mentors we have about what she's doing. And also she mentioned that she can show like different things from BBC on the Discord for everybody to watch it and discuss.
Yes, I did reply to that with my comments, and basically, if you want to form clubs, one of the best things, in my opinion, to start from are hobbies. People have hobbies or favorite things like books, films, cooking, I don't know, pets. Depends. It depends. I see like lots of people posting um, photos of their pets, cats, dogs. So maybe we could start like there.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was a writer's corner where people could share their writing and get help with translations of it and things like that.
That's really cool, actually, because it is related to what we were doing with one candidate who needed support, like to write her resume in English. So we supported her, and also we ended supporting her partner who also needed this help, and now they have like this on LinkedIn.
Yeah, resumes would be a good thing as well, and interview
Hmm.
practice as well, I think
Of
might be a
course,
big thing. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, and Rebecca is probably the best person to help you with interview preparation because it's basically her job.
Yeah. Yes, just for those who don't know, I work well, my background is as an IT recruiter, so I am aware, and not only in Balakun but also some other Ukrainians that I know, they are really interested in how to draft their resumes, how to put this information on LinkedIn. So it's something that we could also incorporate, like to the writer's corner, perhaps.
I think there are also some cultural differences that would be helpful. For example, my
Hmm.
friend who I was helping with her CV, she did it in a certain way that wasn't, I don't know, we have a slightly different culture of how you write a CV in New Zealand versus in Ukraine, I think. And what she wrote
Hmm.
in her CV wasn't wrong, but it wasn't, like she wasn't um uh I don't know what the right word is. Not that we oversell, but we try to pitch why we would be a good candidate, whereas her original
Hmm.
CV was just I have this qualification and I've done this before, rather than I'm the best person, pick me. And that was kind of a cultural difference as well, I think.
And
It is a
yes.
culture thing because in Ukraine we Mostly we don't know how. Um, when you get in a job, like you think that your employer is paying you like everybody else. So because of the USSR, I think we have this thing that you don't want to tell people that you can do more. You don't want to get in trouble. So that's why, like when Ukrainians write in the resumes, it's usually they're not trying to sell themselves. They just want to show what qualifications they have.
Yes, I've noticed such difference, and also sometimes people include some things in their resumes that are not really relevant for the position that they are applying to. So when you are doing your resume, you should include relevant information to the position.
Yeah, and things like salary negotiation, I imagine, is very different in different countries as well, which people could use help with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh heavens, I could
There,
use
there
help with that.
I think all all of us could. There are some, depending on the country, there are some, and also depending on the company, there are some companies that are like really upfront, and this is the role we are paying that. But also, there are some that prefer not to divulge this information until you are like in more advanced stages of the recruitment process. So how to sell yourself, how to negotiate an offer. Basically, what I tell people, I mean, sorry, I'm like deviating a bit to the recruitment part, but basically what I tell people is that recruiters want to know like 5 things about them, like what have they done, so what problems have you solved, what tools did you use to solve such problems, where have you been, like in terms of your education, if you have any certifications, uh-huh, what you can do, like are you learning something new, like how do you keep my experience, as I said, is with IT, like how do you keep updated with technology, are you taking a course, are you developing some pet projects, uh, like who are you, like maybe like a short summary, contact details, blah blah blah. And finally, there's, if you are in an interview, why you, like why should we hire you. And in my opinion, my experience, the resume is like a selling tool. it it's it's just like crafted by you, like you have, you want to highlight like your strong points, and also you need to craft it in a way that helps you like explain some points that maybe you have like a long period without a job, how can you explain that, but it's like moving more into the recruitment part. But yes.
Yeah, it sounds like we could have a whole group on your
On this
professional
one.
development. Yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
though. And I
Yeah.
think it would be very helpful because
Mhm.
a lot of people who've moved abroad, are doing jobs that they're
I,
overqualified for or not qualified for
I have an
because
experience. Sorry.
yeah. No, go
Sorry to
ahead.
interrupt. I have an experience from this. One of my friends, he's from Bakhmut. So before the war, he was like an electrical engineer. When things started to get difficult before the war, it was evident that the situation is not good. He decided like to change his profession and decided to learn how to code in Java. So he joined a program in Ukraine, started like learning to code, and of course he needs to have a like a new resume for this. So we were working on this, like because all his previous experience was as an electrical engineer. So how do you rebrand yourself as a junior Java developer? And this is because he understood that maybe with how the situation was going, it would be hard for him to find job as an electrical engineer. But if he had to relocate or to move to other country, maybe it would be easier for him to find a job as a programmer.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And it's such a big interruption to your life if you have to relocate. that anything that makes those sorts of things easier is going to be beneficial, regardless of whether it's within your country or if you've had to move to another country.
Like for example, if you have to relocate and your English level is like super basic or you don't speak English, okay, if you speak English, you have an advantage because I'm thinking like, how do you like go and shop for groceries? How do you take public transportation? These kind of things like could help someone who has relocated recently. How do you tell that you need like to know where you can contact social services if you don't know English and you don't know the language of the country you've relocated to?
By the way, I have some students on our verification list. So we have Serbian tutor. If somebody is interested in Serbian language, I can connect you with the tutor.
Oh my god.
Also, we have Italian tutor. If somebody wants to learn Italian. And actually, I have a new match for Arthur. I will send him information. This is like A1 student, but he's so cool. He wants to teach how to play on a guitar.
Do we have any Ukrainian tutors?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually, some of our students, they're Ukrainian language tutors as well.
Okay.
I kind of made a goal for myself that I would like to be conversationally proficient within 6 months. So link me up with somebody.
Wow. And if you have needs for Spanish tutors, please sign me up.
Oh, by the way, about the Ukrainian tutor, last space we have Balakun. She's a Ukrainian tutor.
Ooh, okay.
Just remember, it's about the student.
Yes, as a
It's
side
all the- yeah.
project, not to run away with it.
I think like maybe even in the future we even can do like Ukrainian language club where the students will be teaching Ukrainian to the mentors.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
Oh, you can already set my level to A0.
Yeah. What's before A0? That's where I am.
I know some songs and some words, but yeah, I would struggle to order coffee.
Yeah.
And if I can't order coffee in a language, I don't speak any of it.
That's a good test. One other thing I wanted to bring up before we run out of time is that we're going to be bringing group lessons in next week. So these aren't to replace your time with your, you've been matched or not, is welcome to come along to them. And this is partly just to keep people interested and engaged while they're waiting for a mentor, but it's also going to introduce some of the topics that they can then discuss individually. And I know that it's going to be a different environment because it'll be a big group and no one will know each other. But does anyone have any thoughts or ideas about ways to make bigger group lessons more interesting? Or
do you want it to be like a video format or like audio format?
I was just going to put a link to the Zoom meeting in the main chat and invite anyone who wants to come to join. Most people will probably have their videos turned off because people do that with big groups. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in the first week and then adjust, I think.
Maybe the games
most
might be
important
fun.
thing,
Oh, sorry, Tatiana.
the most important thing is for a host to the mentor of the group to be able to share the screen, but everybody else doesn't have to have a video.
Yeah.
As just to add to what Kivner was saying, what about if we use some tools like AHA slides, for example? So sometimes, like in the place where I work, we have like these big online events where lots of people people are connected or joined to a Zoom meeting, and sometimes we ask questions and they can reply via AHA slides, and they can like also put like some quizzes, live polls, Q&As, brainstormings.
Is that similar to
I'm not
Slido?
I'm not familiar with Slido, and I know that for AHA there is like some free version. I'm not familiar with Slido, but maybe there's
Okay.
better than AHA slides.
Yeah.
Just like an idea to make this
No,
more
that's good.
interactive.
It's good. And I think games would be good as well. Just a way of
Yeah, I know. Like in university, like the first class, it's like, oh, let's go around the room and two truths and a lie or something. Even though I hate that game, something like that, something easy, something that you don't need to be like ultra proficient, or it's just like, hey, I'm Quignor and blah blah blah. I don't know, just fun little games.
Yeah.
Who knows animals that do X, Y, or Z? Like, tell me an animal. Go around the room. Everybody, tell me an animal that you'd find at the zoo or something. Just to get people engaged, and I don't know, just kind of having fun.
What
something
was that?
easy.
There's another game where you have to come up with vocabulary on a topic, like different countries or different types of food, and the next person has to come up with something that starts with the last letter of the alphabet of the previous word or something like that. That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I have fun with I have fun doing the kind things like that. Like, start a topic and then the next person pick something else that has something to do with it but is slightly different, and just keep going around, and then at the end
So
maybe try to link it back to the beginning.
I have to remember all my old drinking games from college and turn them into English lessons.
Yeah, pretty much that's how it works.
Yeah.
It also depends on the size of the group, like how big the group is.
Yeah, and we really don't know at this stage how many people will join, so we're just gonna try it out and then improve, I think.
Yeah, also like for things like that, we can utilize Discord server as well.
Yep.
I'm not that familiar with Discord. Is it sort of like Reddit, or excuse me for being extremely ignorant about this?
That's why Arthur is our one
Yes.
of our moderators.
Arthur's always in it. I'm here and there. It's just basically like a chat group, basically. I mean, you could share stuff, but Arthur could probably speak to it better.
Yeah. I mean, defining Discord is going to be a bit hard, but if you have any specific questions, once you're on the platform, that can be done. So basically, the interest of Discord, as opposed to, say, a Telegram chat, is you can create categories, channels, and you can have voice channels, but I've mostly been using it for text channels. Although it does have a lot of features for voice, like can do screen sharing. It can be useful, but people do have to use Discord. You don't necessarily need to have the app. You can log in web browser on desktop, so that works. It can have some problems sometimes for voice or video, but if you just use it for text, it's okay. It's got a lot of features. People can feel a bit lost when they jump into Discord, but you don't have to use most of them, and it's not too badly designed. When you right click on something, generally you have the option you're looking for. So yes, if you have any specific question, never hesitate to message me. I've been used to doing technology tutoring and maintenance for people around me since I was a teenager. So yeah, I'm used to that.
All right, I'll come to you when I dive in. I'm a bit afraid to dive in right now.
I pretty much only use it for
we...
video games, so maybe there'll be Friday night game night with Quignor, but that's pretty much all I use it for.
Oh,
that's a great idea.
Corner.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We have Sue in our Discord who can show you things around. It's the mentor who's helping in the other Discord server with English lessons as well. So she can show you a lot of things.
Cool. Yeah, it's going to be important, I think, to have as many people in different platforms as possible, because everyone's got the thing that they're most comfortable with. And for me at the moment, it's Telegram because I know how to work it. But everyone's, if we're going to be omnipresent, we need to have lots of different platforms going at the same time.
I wanted to say, Tatiana, if you post, because I was looking at the Balakun page on LinkedIn. So if you post how to say it, like the number of mentors and the matches, I will boost that.
Let's do that. I will add you as a moderator.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk.
I am thinking in Spanish. Sorry, because da in Spanish is to give.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, don't get in the trouble that I got into my first night in Lviv.
No. Of course not.
Get out of here. We don't say that here.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. It's stuck. And sorry, this happens when you're thinking in Spanish. It's because in Spanish the verb to give is dar. So when you're like asking someone to give something, da. It's sorry, my sister is here. Okay, so I'm thinking.
Yeah, send me a link and a private message to your LinkedIn so I can
Of course,
add you.
I've started following Balakun.
Oh, okay.
You will find me.
Find you.
Okay. Yeah, you will find me, of course. Yeah, because I've seen like some other volunteer initiatives for Ukraine, like when they reach like a milestone, like, hey, we reached this milestone. So come on, guys, we should do the same.
Yeah, LinkedIn, I'm afraid I deleted along with all my other public-facing socials when I was a little bit doxed and stalked last year.
No, I need to use it like every day, because my work. So it's not like I have like lot of followers, but recruiters, you identify them because they have usually lots of thousands of followers. So.
Yeah, I'll reactivate it at some point. I just kind of wanted the bullshit to die down. Good.
When you do, just please connect with me. Okay.
We're gonna become like the what's that like old network?
MySpace.
It's just called like no. The one that only men can join. Stonemasons, something like that.
Oh, the Masons. Yeah, we just call them Masons. Yeah. Super secret guild that's not really secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with different levels.
Of course.
But it's cool. I mean, I'm meeting people from professions that I would never have met normally just from this project. It's really cool.
Yeah.
We can make a Balakun cult. I mean, they're all the Fury today.
Yeah. We need to be a bit more culty.
Yeah, we need to get some special, I don't know, items.
We can wear like
hats.
I
was thinking of aprons.
Or an apron?
Yeah, hats, aprons. Maybe we can have a hat today. An apron.
Well, we can't do masks. That's been done before by Anonymous. We need something different.
Okay. So what can we use?
We get an apron, and every level you go up, you get an extra pocket for your apron accessories.
Every level or every number of people you can support, you get the extra accessory.
Yeah, maybe like dog ears or something.
Yeah,
we can do like a little figures of the dogs and foxes for students and the dogs for mentors.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. And then there's like a boss mentor with all of the accessories.
Yeah. And you get to wear that on Balakun's anniversary only because it's like super.
When is? We need to remember when it is so that we celebrate it.
Actually, how we celebrate Balakun's anniversary?
Does anybody know the exact date it started?
I guess
Actually,
it could be the day that we bought that domain. Val will know.
Val should know.
For some reason, I think it's September 18th, but I can be mistaken.
We'll find out. We'll put it on our to-do list. Find an anniversary or a birthday. Yeah. Billy just had her birthday. She's 5 years old.
Oh,
She's an old lady. Billy is the mascot who's in all of the Balakun logos. I had another thing to bring up today. I'm very excited to be meeting with Anna from Ukraine, who's got a YouTube channel on Tuesday. So I'm trying to come up with ways that she can, because she from my brief pitch about what we're trying to do, she's interested in getting involved. So if anyone has any bright ideas about ways we could try to convince her viewers and her audience to sign up as mentors, I think that would be a really nice way to break into the YouTube space. If we can get her to, share something we've done, or even be part of a space or a podcast. Is everybody familiar with Anna from Ukraine?
I watched a couple of her videos. You've been talking about this for a while. I know she's one of those big fish that we're trying to catch. Maybe I'll have to pin it in a chat again just so I can watch some of her stuff. But I do remember this was coming up for you, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'll try to be normal. Not embarrass us. But I was also going to ask her things like, as a learner, what was most helpful for her because she speaks exceptional English, and she's an academic, and she posts a lot of content about Ukrainian culture as well for her English-speaking audience. So I think there'll be a really good group of people to try to engage with. Sounds like I'm trying to catch people, but it's not. It's I think a lot of people were interested. They just haven't heard of us yet because we're stuck in this little Twitter bubble, as you said, Quidman.
Yeah, like I know Aliana's she's been in a couple of our spaces. Was she with Ukraine DAO? Not to kind of force her hand or anything, but she's been here a lot. I was maybe hoping that she could pull some people too. I think she's missed like 2 of our sessions, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. But we really have to push the mentors, not so much the students, until we get
otherwise we're just
better ratio.
Yeah, we're going to just keep blowing up with students and just not being able to support them, kind of where we're currently kind of stuck at.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a question. Do we need a TikTok account or no?
Yes, but I'm too old to run it.
Who's going to be doing the dances is the problem.
No, my sister was telling me that if it will make sense if we will have some of the students to run it and make videos in Ukraine.
I'll leave that for the younger crowd.
Yeah. One of my students is big on TikTok, but she's too busy to run a channel for us. But I'm probably going to end up picking her brain about how to do it when we get there. Any other platforms we should be trying for?
I think next week I want to add the Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But if somebody think about any other platforms, you can always DM me.
WhatsApp is probably another good one. That's what all the volunteers communicate on because it's encrypted and international. WhatsApp might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, and also WhatsApp is connected to the Meta because it's the same. And I know that in United States they don't have this feature yet, but in Ukraine I know they do. You can create channels on a Telegram, but in WhatsApp.
The other thing I'm excited about is when we've got some, uniform artwork done, having all of these things have the same logos and background pictures and stuff, just to make us feel like a coherent presence. And that's going to be coming up soon as well, which I'm very excited about. It'll be Billy all over the place.
Yeah, I used to have the same name on Twitter as I have on Telegram, but I changed it actually just to make it harder to pronounce and to remember for people who were hounding me, and that actually worked.
Unfortunately, Quignor is everywhere, so I have to try and keep myself as safe as possible. I may have said too much by just saying that.
Is anyone else finding that it's much easier to recruit your online friends than your in real life friends? That's my problem.
It's
No,
kind of hard
no
to
comment.
gauge because among my real life friends, there aren't too many people who speak a good English, and much less who would want and have the time to teach it. But I must say I haven't recruited anyone online either, so.
I still have to come up with a reward for the biggest recruiter. I think it's still Tatiana at the moment. Tatiana, what do you want your prize to be?
I think the moth finally took her. The moth won that
The
battle.
killer moth. The killer moth has taken over the house.
I'm here. I was getting milk for my daughter because she got scared that Rory barked at her. Anyways, my biggest prize for me, it will be for mentors take more students.
Good answer. Are you finding it's that the time zones are a big problem, or is it just the numbers, Tatiana?
It's not a problem at all because, as I mentioned before, when I have the verified screenings with students, they always like, oh, I put like this and this time, but I actually can do any time my mentor can. So I don't think it's a big problem. Like, for example, for United States, the evening in Ukraine, it will be mornings. And a lot of people okay to do things like in the morning. Some students like to do things on Saturdays and Sundays if they have like full-time jobs. The same thing with the mentors. So I won't be saying that the time zones is a problem. Like, for example, my brother-in-law, I met him with two students, and he's planning to do his sessions on Saturday and Sundays when he's not at work. On the other hand, my sister, she actually got another student, so now she has two. And she's just scheduled, like, she doesn't have the same time, the same day for the lessons. They just communicate with each other when who is available, and she's usually doing her lessons like in a in the time when she like when she's working and she has like 1 hour to do something, and then she will like schedule a lesson with her student.
I'll probably pick another student up here in the not too far future.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'll have to get my schedule a little more normalized. Because right now I'm lucky because my student, he wants to do it like real early in the morning, just because that's kind of his lifestyle. And I kind of want to say less specifics right now because of certain things, so I'll just leave it at that. But he likes to do it like really early in the morning, which is kind of late at night for me, but not like way too late to be unbearable. But like for me right now, it's basically just weekends because at the East Coast, it's like anything past 10 o'clock is starting to get way too late, and it's way too early for a lot of people. And earlier, everybody's just always asleep. So like when I get done work at like 6 Eastern, it's 2 in the morning. Like not many people are going to be awake at that time.
Yeah. Everyone should also be aware that Ukraine time is changing next Sunday. They're going back an hour, I believe.
Oh, good.
So we're
That
gonna have
should
to
make it better.
adjust some of our yeah.
But yeah, actually, that's a great thing because nobody in here, I don't think, but United States no longer does that. So something for any of our American mentors to be aware of too is we're not going to be making that shift anymore.
I can't wait for that shift to be removed in my own country, honestly.
In the digital age, it's absolutely pointless. I mean, I kind of like the being able to see when I get up in the morning, but also like I'm not a farmer. It serves zero purpose. I'm not trying to save electricity.
Yep, and it makes a bit of a digital mess. I have Windows and Linux on a dual boot, and they both manage the time shift in a different way. Windows changes the system clock, and Linux just adjusts the display time. So whenever I boot between one or the other, I have 2 hours of difference.
I'm so glad that we have made that change. One of the things that I like to talk with people about from different cultures is kind of pass along the different stories. And the little anecdote that Native Americans or First Nations would say would be, since when do you get a bigger blanket if you cut one foot off of one end and sew it to the other? So little idioms like that might be good for this.
That's a beautiful way to describe it.
Although idioms
Yeah.
can be confusing both in English and to non-English speakers. I've learned that. I have a problem. The small bit of Southern in me likes to just say the most ridiculous things. People are just like, I have no idea what you're saying. Like, neither do I, come to think of it.
People like Dead Cake love learning those idioms though as well. So as long as you explain that it's an idiom and what it means. Another thing I love to do is ask for the equivalent in the Ukrainian culture because they've got some good ones.
Oh my gosh, I heard the best one. So I've been working on my mustache. Dead Cake can attest. It's rather large now because we had our meeting last week. And I met somebody out the other night and they couldn't speak English, or they were trying to. And there was another guy that was with them that could speak English a little bit. And they were saying something like, oh, we have this saying in Ukraine. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's like a man with no mustache is borscht, or borscht with meat is a man with a mustache, or something like this. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? Why are you comparing me to borscht right now? And they're just like, we don't know how to say it in English. It had something to do with mustaches and borscht with meat. I'll just put it that way.
I think it's really insightful when you find out what is a pun in a different language, and is it common, and do you need to know about it? Because obviously that means words that sound alike, homonyms, in different languages are just something to know about. I learned a lot about that in Farsi.
Yeah, and it's interesting because English has so many puns because we're so bad at using, words with double meanings. So I think it's completely shaped our sense of humor as well and what we find funny. Because a lot of those puns don't work in other languages.
Yeah, like a lot of the puns are like based off the pronunciation of words, and like the inflection makes it mean something different. But like to a non-native speaker, they'll just be like, what does that mean? I don't understand. How is that funny?
Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? It's not funny. Yeah.
By the way, I want to tell you guys a really cool thing about Daniel. He's translating Ukrainian poetry to English, and it's awesome.
That's actually something I've had a really good experience with in terms of talking with Ukrainian speakers, because you sit down to a poem and it has little nuances that okay, I will research the hell out of it. I'll watch YouTube videos of native speakers. I will do a search on the Ukrainian words. It's like I remember one poem by Mikhailo Semenko, Patagonia. There was this one part where Google Translate and DeepL and other things would tell you it's an ash tree, and I'm thinking, what is this? Ash Wednesday? Is this like a gray mark? Is it? What's the connotation? You do a search, and no, it's bright red berries everywhere, explosive red, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, that's why he's using this because the poem is about his expected death from the Russians, and it's a battle cry, so that's why, and and what's even more challenging is to try to translate a poem back into Ukrainian occasionally, and that's where all the I mean, when you have to find the words instead of really research the Ukrainian, that's challenging. But honestly, I learned so much from that, and I mean, I wish I had been practicing conversationally on this level. On the written level, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. Context changes everything, huh? One thing I would like to have a discussion one day with people who know more about it is where the word Balakun comes from, because I think there's kind of an interesting story behind that as well. I don't know if anyone feels like sharing, but it was explained to me by one of my students, and I don't want to try to repeat it because I know I'll get it wrong.
You mean like the Balakun, that it's like chatterbox, or are you asking about the dog and a fox?
Oh no, the meaning of the word Balakun.
Well, the meaning is like it's somebody who is talking a lot. So, and we are here for Ukrainians who want to mostly start speaking and communicate. So that's why I think the Balakun it's really represents what we're trying to achieve.
Okay, I would definitely have been called that as a kid.
A chatterbox, yeah. We had fun trying to find a name. I remember there were a few weeks where we didn't really have a name, and I kept coming up with more and more wild ideas, and, and eventually Val came up with Balakun, and I thought it was perfect. And some of my students said, but English speaking people won't understand it, and I said they can learn. They can learn one word. It'll be Balakun.
It is funny because my sister has similar last name, and when she got the first email from Balakun, she like, I was thinking that they misspelled my last name again.
Can you explain? Sometimes when I put chatterbox into Google Translate, it comes up with Balakuna. What's the difference between Balakun and Balakuna?
We don't have a word Balakuna.
So Google is lying
Balakun, it
again.
will be Balakun. You cannot say
It's
like
Google being Google. I typed Balakun
yeah,
in Ukrainian and it says babbler into Google Translate, so it makes sense.
I just tried it on DeepL, and I do see Balakun, but I also see Bazika or Baltun.
well, Baltun, it will be more like Russian. Also, interesting thing about Balakun, in the territory that was Ukraine before, like Belgorod and stuff, they have this dialect they called Balachka, but those people actually just speak in Ukrainian.
Yeah, that was the story I wanted someone to explain, because this is the story that my student told me. I thought it was really interesting that there's actually people in what is now Russia speaking Ukrainian who were called Balakun or something like that.
Oh, they call this language that they speak Balachka, but it's actually they speak Ukrainian. But they cannot say that they speak Ukrainian, so they like, oh, we just speak Balachka.
That's brilliant. I mean that, you know, the link, not that they can't speak it. You know what I mean. I hope.
Well, I think it's maybe like with the borders that we have right now, like borders of Ukraine and Russia and Belarus, the people who lives close to the borders with of different countries, they kind of like know the language of the bordering country, something like that.
I think it's probably similar in the United States. I feel like probably a lot of people in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas can probably fairly understand their share of Spanish. Florida too, probably.
Just actually in Spanish, we have a really interesting phenomenon. Like the people living in Mexico, in the north part of Mexico, use words that are a mix of English and Spanish. For example, in Spanish, the word for garden is jardín.
Spanglish.
Yeah, Spanglish. The Spanish word is jardín for garden. But if you go to the north, people will refer to a garden as yarda, which comes from the English word yard, and they just put an A. In Spanish, the word for the place where you take cards like to be teared up apart, like a junkyard, it's deshuesadero, which literally means like you take the bones out of something. So this is like the Spanish word, and you take your car to deshuesadero. But if you go to the north, people will say that you take your old car to the junker because it comes from the junkyard. The word for truck is camión, the Spanish word. But in the north, people say troca, and we understand these like to be like a big van, like a sub van. Mm-hmm. So it happens with many different words, and also sometimes with word order. Like it's different, like in the south, in the north, because of the English influence.
I think this is super cool because like the language is alive and it's changing like all the time. Depends on the people who lives where. Like I'm living in Louisiana and we have a lot of like different phrases that we like on the south that people from the other states probably won't understand what we're trying to say.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of French influence and native influence too. So I've always found Louisiana to be like super like fascinating in the way that they have Cajun and Creole and English and French, and just it just all intermixes and combines and sometimes stands on its own.
Yep. And like one of the, I think like more the people know about that in Louisiana you don't say that you going like grocery shopping. You're going, you saying like, oh, I'm making groceries.
Okay. Languages also. Sorry. Please go on.
Never mind. I was actually about to say sometimes these regional differences in the language can can get you into some funny trouble. I was practicing Spanish with people from Costa Rica for a while, and we used to grill out together, and this got me into trouble. Speaking Mexican Spanish because at one point said what my friend said, which is un hombre que no bueno los chiles, no bueno con las mujeres, which would translate to
Okay.
a man who is no good with chili peppers is no good with women. I did not know the slang term for chili peppers in Mexican Spanish.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing. We have like many words in Spanish that, depending on the country where you are, can have a different meaning. So my mother had an anecdote about this. I don't remember the nationality of the person, she was speaking to. But apparently, she went to have breakfast. She and another women went to have breakfast. I don't remember if the person was from Venezuela, Colombia. I don't remember. But when they were having breakfast, they put like some rolls, bread rolls, in the table. In Mexico, we call that bolillo. Like it's a wide bread roll. It's like a baguette, but in the shape of bolochka for Ukrainian speakers to understand. So in Mexico, it's called bolillo. But this lady, she they were offering her like something to have breakfast, and she said, I will only take a pirujo. Pirujo in Mexico means something else. It's not a bread roll. But for this lady, that they were all speaking Spanish, it meant, and the woman just stare at her like, "What do you want for breakfast?" And she said, "Yes, I just want a pirujo," and it's a totally different meaning in Mexico. So she pointed at the bread rolls, and then they understood that she wanted a bread roll. But it happens. Uh, it happens depending on the country. There are some words in Spanish that have different meaning depending on the country, and there are some words that are totally different. And we don't know like the meaning until we point at it and say, "Oh, okay." So there was this word, patujuda, and this woman used it to refer to a beautiful girl, like a really beautiful face with big eyes, and she explained that to us, patajuda, and we were like, in Mexico we don't use that word, we would say it in a different way. But it's the interesting thing about languages, I think, that they, as Tatiana was saying, they change, they reflect the history. So when you
Yeah,
learn
like
something new, you get another life, I think.
yeah, for example, since the full-scale invasion, my family now living in the West Ukraine, and sometimes when mom is telling me like what different words she's learning there, it's like really interesting because it's not something that we use in Kiev.
In Spanish, for example, we have words of Arabic origin. It's a Spanish, of course, but they come from Arab words, and this is a reflection of the time that the Moors conquered Spain. So, for example, words like carrot, zanahoria, almohada, pillow, alberca, like pond, they come from Arabic origin. We say in Spanish, for example, ojalá, which is something like to convey the idea of God be willing. And this is a word of Arabic origin.
I can't. Of course, there's silence and then everyone talks at once. I can't remember which these were, but I noticed a bunch of French imported words in Ukrainian, and that was curious to me. And if it's like in English, the moment I have actually learned to speak Ukrainian, when I'm looking for this word, I'm going to be hesitating forever because my brain can't remember a word if it's a borrowed French word. That's the same in English.
Arthur, are you in the United States?
I'm not. I'm in France.
Okay. What about you, Daniel?
Central U.S., although my my activities keep me in multiple time zones, and it's kind of hard to stay put.
Welcome, Andy. I think Andy's done some mentoring as well. You feel free to join if you'd like to speak, but if you'd rather just listen, that's fine.
I'm gonna have to drop out, guys. My plane leaves
Cool.
mid-afternoon, so gotta get some rest and get to the airport a couple hours early so I can get through security. Hopefully, I don't get stopped because.
Nice. Well, have a safe trip.
All right.
Safe trip, Vignar.
Yep. See you guys next
Yeah,
Saturday,
perfect.
if not before.
Okay. Guys, I need to drop
Good evening.
out as well. Okay? It
Oh,
was
good evening
lovely
to you
to hear
too.
you. Have a nice day.
See ya.
You too.
See ya.
Likewise.
Bye.
Maybe should we leave it there, Tatiana, unless anyone else has anything they want to add before we go?
Well, I think we can wrap it up. Also, in the comment section, I put the article about the difference of the Louisiana English and like different words that we're using in Louisiana that people doesn't use in the rest of the U.S.
Tanya, I must say, after this year on Twitter, you're like single-handedly upholding the reputation of people from Louisiana, as far as I'm concerned.
I really like it here. Like it's so different from the different. Like I used to live in Los Angeles. I used to live in New York, and I really really like Louisiana. Also, I
I,
don't have Russians here, so this is good.
that's always a positive.
I figured out that I don't have like a big Russian community here because we don't have a church.
That is really good to know. I mean, where I live, I mean, if you were to search, you would see things that suggest that there's no Russian church here. However, I feel like I've run into more Russians here than almost anywhere in Texas, and I don't understand the phenomenon really. But no, Louisiana is special, especially New Orleans. I was I was there for a trip some years ago and bought some Zydeco records while I was there, and that has stuck with me ever since.
But yes, and if you want to wrap it up, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So, big things. 70 matches. That's incredible. Big push for new mentors on the way, and group lessons starting soon. Otherwise, thank you so much for everyone who's helping in the background. There is a lot of work getting done to keep this going, and we're really grateful. And I'm really pleased to see people starting to have matches, and getting that feedback is really great. And we need to celebrate all of these little victories because we have to show that we are achieving things, not just hanging out on the internet talking rubbish. So things like counting the number of matches, getting feedback from mentors and students is all really important. So let's leave it there and say goodbye until next week. Thanks everyone for joining.
Дякую.
Good night or good day, depending where you are.